We don't ask FBI people, applicants, where their political parties are.
Mr. Patel, do you ask FBI applicants who they voted for?
The FBI does not.
Are you aware that in the lawsuit that Mr. Driscoll filed against you and the FBI, he was asked who he voted for?
Since that lawsuit has been filed and it's ongoing litigation, I'm not able to comment.
Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the channel. If you're new here, I'm your independent political analyst, no spin, no tribalism, just facts, context, and thoughtful commentary. Today, we're breaking down a tense congressional exchange involving Congresswoman Deborah Ross and FBI Director Patel. The topic? Allegations of politicization inside the Bureau, and whether the FBI is serving the law or political interests. This is one of those moments that really tests public trust in our institutions.
And I'm going a little out of order here because I'm going to pursue some of the things that you were just talking to Mr. Fry about and remind you about your confirmation hearing. At your confirmation hearing in January, you said under oath, and I quote, "There will be no politicization at the FBI. There will be no retributive actions taken by the FBI should I be confirmed." And in your written response to the Senate questionnaire, you said, I quote, "Personnel decisions shall be based on performance and adherence to the law, and every FBI employee will be held to the absolute same standard, and no one will be terminated for case assignments." So I want to just go through a couple scenarios with you to get a sense of whether you think these are examples of politicization of the FBI or making decisions based on the performance and adherence to the law. So, first question. Would hiring FBI agents, analysts, and supervisors from only one political party being politicization of the FBI or making personnel decisions based on performance and adherence to the law?
We don't ask FBI people, applicants, where their political parties are.
Mr. Patel, do you ask FBI applicants who they voted for?
The FBI does not.
Are you aware that in the lawsuit that Mr. Driscoll filed against you and the FBI, he was asked who he voted for?
Since that lawsuit has been filed and it's ongoing litigation, I'm not able to comment.
Well, but it also means that you just said that what happened in his situation didn't happen. So we will go on to the next question. Let me ask you an even easier one. Does firing agents for working on the cases that they were assigned to and that the president didn't like, is that politicization of the FBI or making personnel decisions based on performance and adherence to the law?
The FBI doesn't terminate anyone based on case assignments alone.
Has the FBI ever been sued by somebody who felt that they were terminated based on case assignments?
In the entire history of the FBI, I'm sure they have.
No, since your tenure.
I'm sure there's ongoing litigation.
Yes. In fact, there is ongoing litigation. And in fact, people have been asked who they voted for. And in fact, you are running an FBI for the President of the United States rather than the people of the United States, because my questions were not hypotheticals. They are the things you have done during your tenure. And according to a lawsuit filed last week by long-term FBI agents, you fired former acting director Brian Driscoll. He had served with the Bureau for nearly 20 years, earned a Medal of Honor, Medal of Valor for bravery during the dangerous ISIS raid, and had a wealth of crisis response experience and led the FBI's Critical Incident Response Group. When the Trump administrations interviewed Mr. Driscoll for that role, they interrogated him about his political leanings and who he voted for in the last 5 elections. Questions Mr. Driscoll refused to answer because those types of questions impermissibly politicized the FBI. You also fired Steve Jensen, who served the FBI for nearly 2 decades and ran critical terrorism, counterintelligence, and organized crime operations, whom you once described as embodying what the American public demands of the FBI. But he was fired because he took part in investigating crimes committed on January 6th. And Trump's MAGA base lambasted you online for keeping him at the FBI. So he's no longer at the FBI. You also fired a decorated combat veteran with decades of experience in the Bureau, Special Agent Walter Jardia, because he worked on the investigation into the Russian interference in the 2016 presidential election and helped investigate Trump's ally, Peter Navarro. Director Patel, it is very clear that you have flunked your own test. You've put saving your job, which I actually believe you were being honest about during your confirmation hearings, over doing what's right for the FBI and the American people. That is not adherence to the law. Thank you, and I yield back.
Time of the gentlelady.
Congresswoman Ross began by reminding Director Patel of his confirmation hearing. At the time, Patel swore under oath that there would be no politicization at the FBI, no retaliation, and that personnel decisions will be based only on performance and adherence to the law. That's a big promise. But Ross then contrasted those commitments with what she says has actually taken place. She asked Patel a straightforward question. Would hiring FBI agents and analysts from only one political party amount to politicization? Patel replied that the FBI doesn't ask applicants about political affiliation. On paper, that seems correct. But Ross immediately pointed to lawsuits where, allegedly, FBI employees were questioned about their political leanings and even asked who they voted for. Patel declined to answer, citing ongoing litigation. Next, Ross pushed further, asking whether firing agents for working on cases the president didn't like would count as politicization. Patel maintained that the FBI does not terminate employees based solely on case assignments. Ross then laid out 3 examples. First, Brian Driscoll, a 20-year veteran and Medal of Valor recipient, who allegedly was asked about his political leanings and later dismissed. Second, Steve Jensen, a counterintelligence and organized crime expert, reportedly fired after working on January 6 investigations. And third, Walter Jardia, a decorated combat veteran, allegedly let go for his role in the Russia investigation and the case against Trump ally Peter Navarro. Ross ended by accusing Patel of failing his own test of prioritizing political survival over the integrity of the FBI. Her closing statement was blunt, that Patel is running the FBI for the president, not for the American people. Now, here's my analysis. On one hand, Patel did what any FBI director would do in this situation. He avoided commenting on active litigation. That's standard and expected. Saying more could jeopardize ongoing cases. On the other hand, Ross's allegations are serious and cannot just be brushed aside. If it's true that decorated agents were dismissed for political reasons, that would absolutely undermine the Bureau's credibility. The FBI is supposed to be neutral, blind to politics. Even perception of favoritism or retaliation erodes public trust. The truth is, until those lawsuits play out in court, we won't have a full picture. Ross is raising red flags. Patel is deflecting the legal process, and the public is left waiting for accountability. Here's my takeaway. Hearings like this are less about getting instant answers and more about shining a spotlight on where scrutiny is most needed. Whether these claims are proven or dismissed, the process itself is essential, because regardless of who's in power, the FBI cannot be seen as a political weapon. So, was Ross's line of questioning partisan? Yes. But was it important? Absolutely. These are exactly the kinds of questions Congress should be asking, because institutional trust matters to everyone, Republican and Democrat alike. That's my analysis for today. What do you think? Do these lawsuits point to a politicized FBI, or is this more political theater in Congress? Drop your thoughts in the comments. As always, if you value independent, fact-driven analysis, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the bell so you don't miss the next breakdown. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.